One midnight, Zhang Laosan was walking past a graveyard when he suddenly saw a strange old man performing what looked like some kind of ritual. Curious, he approached and asked, "Grandpa, what are you doing out here on such a cold night?" The old man didn't move, didn't even blink, as if he hadn't heard a word. Zhang Laosan didn't think much of it. He took off a thick coat from his basket and draped it over the old man's shoulders. Just as he was about to leave, the old man suddenly called out, "Young man, while you're at it, give me the 3 steamed buns you're carrying." Zhang Laosan froze. How did the old man know there were buns in his basket, and that there were exactly 3? After a moment's hesitation, he took them out and handed them over. "Here, Grandpa, please eat." But instead of eating them, the old man placed the buns neatly on the ground, pulled out 3 incense sticks from nowhere, stuck them into the buns like offerings, and began muttering under his breath, words Zhang Laosan couldn't understand. Terrified, Zhang Laosan let out a yelp and ran for his life, not knowing that from that very moment, his fate had already begun to change. Zhang Laosan was poor as dirt, over 30 and still unmarried. He worked odd jobs every day just to fill his stomach. Strangely, from that night on, every time he passed through the graveyard, he would see that same old man sitting by a grave, mumbling to the air. At first, Zhang Laosan was scared, but as time went on, he got used to it. He figured the old man must be sick or insane, living among graves out in the cold. So each time he'd leave some food behind for him. The old man never responded, not even a word of thanks. A month later, just as Zhang Laosan put down some food and was about to leave, the old man spoke. "Young man, since you have a kind heart, I'll give you a warning. Tomorrow when you pass this way again, you'll see a child wearing red. Whatever you do, don't interfere, or you'll lose your life." Zhang Laosan was startled. A child in red. Out here in the freezing graveyard. Impossible. "Do not take that child home," the old man's tone grew stern, "or disaster will fall upon you. I warn you only because your heart is good. Remember this." No matter how much Zhang Laosan asked, the old man said no more. Zhang Laosan shrugged it off. Probably just more crazy talk. The next night as he passed by, the old man was gone. He circled the area but found no trace of him. Just as he turned to leave, a baby's cry echoed from the edge of the graveyard. Following the sound he saw, to his horror, a small baby dressed in red. Zhang Laosan screamed and fell backward in fright. He bolted several steps, then stopped suddenly. He slapped himself across the face. "What am I doing? That old lunatic's words can't be true. If someone really abandoned a baby here in this cold, it'll die by morning." Resolute, he ran back. "Even if it's cursed, I can't just watch it die," he muttered, picking the baby up. The baby smiled at him, an eerie, unnatural smile. In his arms, it felt weightless, as if it had no bones at all. From the moment he brought the child home, strange things began to happen. The half-dead jujube tree in his yard suddenly blossomed overnight, laden with large, sweet fruit. Zhang Laosan quit his labor job and sold the dates in town. They sold like crazy. Then one day, a child fell from a restaurant balcony and landed safely in Zhang Laosan's basket. The boy's father, the richest man in town, rewarded him with 500 silver taels and a shop. Overjoyed, Zhang Laosan bought a cow and 3 acres of land. But as soon as the cow arrived, it ran wild and accidentally knocked over an old stone trough, revealing a chest of silver hidden beneath. Zhang Laosan was ecstatic. That old man was wrong. This child isn't a curse. He's a blessing from heaven. He named the boy Fubao. Lucky treasure. Fubao grew fast, walking and talking within 3 months, calling Zhang Laosan Papa with bright, sweet laughter. Life was good. Until one night, Zhang Laosan dreamed of the old man again. His face grave and cold. "You fool," the old man said. "You ignored my warning. Disaster is upon you." Zhang Laosan woke in a sweat. Fubao was still asleep, but his face was pale, his breathing faint. The next morning the cow was dead. His crops had withered overnight. The shop in town collapsed without warning. Worse, strange misfortunes spread across the whole village. Livestock died, wells turned black and foul. People whispered, "The child Zhang Laosan found is cursed." Soon the whispers turned to shouts. "Burn the demon child," the villagers cried, storming his house. Kneeling, Zhang Laosan pleaded, "He's just a baby. Please don't do this." But they shouted, "Since he came, nothing but death has followed." Seeing the fear and hatred on familiar faces, Zhang Laosan's heart shattered. He looked down at trembling little Fubao clutching his pants, and made a decision. He took out his chest of silver, compensated every villager for their losses, then gave the rest away. "I'll take the child and leave," he said hoarsely. "You'll never see us again." Then, holding Fubao close, he walked away from the village without looking back. He wandered aimlessly until he reached an old temple of the city god. The old man's warning hadn't quite come true. He was still alive, but Fu Bao grew weaker by the day. Zhang Laosan tore his last bun in half, trying to feed him, but Fu Bao shook his head weakly. "Don't scare Papa, Fu Bao," Zhang Laosan wept. Suddenly, the child's body began to glow softly, growing lighter and lighter until it rose into the air and vanished into a ball of light. Zhang Laosan cried out in anguish. Then a deep, majestic voice filled the temple. "Do not weep." From the statue of the city god emerged the familiar old man, surrounded by golden light. "Why, you're the city god?" Zhang Laosan gasped. The deity smiled faintly. "Zhang Laosan, look." He waved his sleeve, and the temple transformed before his eyes. He saw his cow alive and grazing, his crops green, the village peaceful, untouched. What's happening?" "It was all an illusion, a test of your heart," the god said. "When I first saw you in the graveyard, poor yet kind enough to clothe a stranger, I knew you were pure of spirit. The riches and the ruin were both trials. In hardship you did not lose compassion. In wealth you did not lose humility. Even in despair you chose kindness." As the god's light faded, Zhang Laosan woke, in his own bed. Morning sunlight streamed through the window. The cow was alive, the fields lush. On the table sat several wooden chests filled with silver and fine silk. Soon after, a matchmaker arrived with a kind, beautiful woman who wished to marry him for his good heart. Zhang Laosan lived a peaceful life thereafter, running a small shop, helping the poor, and staying true to his kindness. A year later, he and his wife had a son, who looked exactly like little Fu Bao. So you see, kindness is never in vain. Do good without expecting return, and blessings may come when you least expect them.